In the Kabbalion, which goes over the 7 Hermetic principles, it is stated that everything is mind, everything is mental. Now, these 7 principles of Hermetism, of Hermetics, date back for thousands of years and have been passed down by so many of the wisest masters throughout history. In fact, it goes as far back as ancient Egypt. And the first principle of Hermetics is what we call mentalism. Now, this is a crucial one to become aware of and understand and start applying because it is essentially the foundation of which the other 6 principles of Hermetics rest upon. Now, you may be thinking, why should these 7 Hermetic principles, and specifically this one you're going over here, why should this matter to me? Why should I care? Well, what if I told you that the Hermetic principles were applied by some of, again, the wisest masters throughout history to create reality, to be reality creators of their lives? What if I told you that secret societies, groups, the elites knew about this information, used this information, and in fact kept it hidden from the public because of how powerful it is? Again, these principles, which the foundation of is the principle of mentalism, is so powerful that it has the ability to release your dormant reality creation powers to such a degree that, again, these groups, these societies that became aware of this and used these principles didn't want the public to know because they wanted to keep people in ignorance. They wanted to stay at the top themselves and not have other people stepping on their toes. So they intentionally covered up this wisdom, which may be why you don't know much about it, or maybe you're one of the few that does. But ultimately, why is it that there are so many throughout history in these groups that didn't want the public and most people to understand this? It's because it has such immense power when applied. So in this video, I'm going to reveal so much of this knowledge, this wisdom that, again, masters throughout the ages used in order to create their realities and just ultimately do amazing things that if you were to hear about, or if you were to be able to do in your own life, would actually blow you away. I'm going to go over the best way to apply some of what we're talking about today, and I'm going to even go over something at the end that's kind of like the master key to getting this to work, that if you don't apply this one thing or take this on board, the rest of this falls apart. But you'll be aware of it, you'll know how to apply it, so it's actually going to work for you. So let's jump into it. In the beginning of this video, I mentioned how the all is mind and everything is mental. And this is something we need to explore a little bit and really elevate your awareness when it comes to, because it's so crucial when it comes to reality creation. And this is something that secret societies and these elite groups have known about for thousands of years. You know, those who studied the Hermetic principles and other bodies of work and philosophies that really have been, so validated because they actually get results. This is a big part of them. In fact, in the Hermetic principles, the principle of mentalism is the first one, and it's the first one for a reason. It is the foundation for everything else. Everything kind of builds upon the foundation of the principle of mentalism. And again, it is summed up with this quote that the all is mind and everything is mental. This, in my eyes, is something that you cannot study enough and implement enough in your life because it is always having an effect in your life. And if you create certain causes on the mental plane, which again, everything is mental, you're going to start seeing more favorable effects in your life. And so we're going to be going over a little more of what this is, some other ways to look at this, so it maybe is a little more practical for you, and of course some tools and next steps are going to help you on your pathway to learning, applying, and mastering this principle of mentalism. Now, the first thing to understand is that the all is not something to get worked up about. What is the all? We can call it God, we can call it source, we can call it infinite intelligence, we can call it the quantum field. It's not really important what label you give this, right? We can't actually know exactly what it is. You see, we come from what's called a finite level of mind, where the all, which is where everything comes out of, comes from a infinite level of mind. And so it is similar to our mind in the sense that it is the same thing of a like kind. but the degree in which it operates is vastly elevated, superior to a point that we can't even conceptualize it. But understand that the all, when we say that, we could be saying what some people refer to as God. Infinite intelligence is another one that I like because it has the word infinite in it. It is infinite. It is well beyond anything we can conceive or conceptualize. And if you go down the rabbit hole of trying to conceptualize it, it is a fool's errand. I think even in the Kabbalion, it says the person that tries to understand this in its entirety, what the all is and how it operates and all this, it's a fool's errand in which you will just spend your whole life trying to figure it out, never getting to that point, because from our level of mind, we cannot fully understand the all. But the all is that which everything you know, everything you see, our universe, any other universes, all universes, anything within those universes, anything you know of and also do not know of because you don't know what you don't know, comes from the mind of the all. So when it comes to the all and all of its creations are under what's called the laws of created things. So the all is the only thing that we're aware of, at least we can kind of speculate, is above these laws. However, everything that comes from the mind of the all, including us, are subject to the laws of created things. And there's many philosophies that go over these laws. Again, Hermetic principles is a great place to be. It goes over correspondence, law of polarity, of rhythm, of gender, and everything else. I have a video you can look at. I'll link it in the description if you want to learn what the 7 Hermetic principles are to get a better understanding of them. But we are all subject to these laws of created things. We also create from mind, and that our world is also mental. And this is where the reality creation part of this comes in. When you grasp the idea, the fact that everything is mental also in your own reality, in your world, you can start to study this deeper, use it deeper to start using these reality creation principles to your advantage and to start creating favorable opportunities, favorable circumstances through the other Hermetic principles. But we need to know the principle of mentalism first. And this is why we need to train our minds. We need to understand mentalism, and everything falls apart if we don't. And this is why in more recent years, maybe in the last century, so much emphasis is being put on things like the subconscious mind, right? Because that controls a lot of our thinking, a lot of our mentality, and a lot of similar areas because they're so crucial to improving our life. Now, another reason that understanding this principle of mentalism and applying them, and again, this is something that the secret societies, this is something that the elite groups of people, this is something they absolutely kept hidden and they used for power and control to control the minds of the masses. Why do you think there is programming? Why do you think there is brainwashing, subliminal messages, certain people controlling the healthcare system, the schooling system, etc., determining what the curriculum is because they understand the power of repetition, of putting certain ideas within your subconscious that will replay all the time in your mentality. And if your individual mentality is creating your world and your world being created similarly by someone else and someone else creates a collective matrix of that world and makes it more likely for other people to kind of be sucked into that, well, isn't it worth learning how to take back control of your mentality so that you can create differently? In my eyes, absolutely yes. But again, this is something that's so crucial and it's never going away. You will always be a mental creator, someone who uses your mentality, your mind to create, whether you're aware of it or not, whether you're doing it unconsciously or consciously. And in fact, so much comes from the subconscious, which you are not aware of. But we can program the subconscious, we can learn how to think, we can learn how to use mentalism to our advantage in order to create the life we want to create. It is on 24/7. You are sending out a transmission from your brain. You are sending out a signal and receiving back similar signals of a like kind back in your life in the form of other thoughts and things, certain inspired action, the opportunities that come your way, the people, etc., etc., etc. I've mentioned this in other videos, but ultimately that's why it's so crucial we get this right because it's the foundation for so much else. The universe is mental. The all is mental. It is a creation of mind. We are a creation of the all from the mind of all. Again, if you want to use the word God, source, have at it. Whatever applies to your belief systems that's going to allow this to benefit you and make it work, It's okay. But ultimately, we are a creation of this from the mind of it, and we also create our reality from our own mind. And so it is so crucial to understand this and apply this. So let's move on to give you an even better idea of how this works. And so next, I've made a full video on this principle that I'm going to be going over, and it's called the mirror principle. And it kind of shows how the cause and effect relationship with mentalism works between your physical world and what's going on in your mind or within what we call your inner world. Now, the mirror principle basically states, if we're going to really simplify it, is that the outer world follows the inner world. Now, why is that? I'll explain briefly, and you can explore this further if you need to, but essentially, the physical world, the world of the five senses, is condensed energy. It is energy that has been concentrated for a long time. Like if we looked at anything in the physical world under the right instrument, scientific instrument, we would see it's actually vibrating. You know, we can go back to the principle of vibration in Hermetic wisdom, that everything is moving, nothing is at rest, everything vibrates, everything is vibrating. Matter is just one of the grossest forms of that vibration of energy. It's lower down on the pole, where higher on the pole is where we get to energy, spirit, we're getting closer to the all infinite intelligence God, right? So that's all it is, which means it just takes longer for it to manifest. But in the inner world, you can tap into certain energies, vibrations immediately. For example, think of something that you love. Think of something that sets your heart alight. Can you think of it? Think of a memory that just brings a smile to your face immediately. You know, like maybe it's playing with a pet, maybe it's a loved one, maybe it's a time of just a great accomplishment, maybe it's a moment of serenity when you were at the beach. Whatever it is, just think of that right now, and I want you just to focus on it, and we're using mentalism at this moment, so this is intentional. But just think about it. I want you just to kind of breathe that memory in and allow the feelings to wash over you. And just keep your focus there. Now, how do you feel? Is it safe to say your inner state changed? If you did it correctly, or you have even a little bit of practice with this, most likely, even if you're not that practiced with this, you probably at least felt kind of an elevated state slightly, right? That's how powerful the inner world is and how quickly you can change it when you practice mentalism, when you practice really molding your inner garden, your inner world in the ways that you want, in the ways that serve you, in the ways that are going to move you towards your mission or whatever it is you're here to do. That's how quick it can be. But it doesn't happen that quick in the physical plane. There is even a time frame called the quantum to Newtonian transition point that goes over how long it takes for concentrated mental and energetic focus in the inner world to manifest in the outer world. It's 6 to 8 weeks. Now, 6 to 8 weeks of focus like a laser beam, mental and emotional focus in a singular direction will produce dramatic results in the physical, right? And you'll see kind of little manifestations here and there as you do that. But just to understand that things take longer to come into the physical because it is the accumulation of those vibrations of that energy coming into one of its grossest forms, which just means like one of its most dense forms, lower on the pole when it comes to vibration. The pole of vibration, matter is towards the end, spirit is towards the top. And so the mirror principle states that the outer world, again, this physical we're talking about, is followed by the inner world. Now, just again to simplify the inner world, I want you to think about it as just your inner mental state, your thoughts, and the things that kind of happen that obviously don't show up, or not obviously in the physical, even though they kind of do eventually. And also the way you feel, emotion, which is energy in motion. Remember, higher on that pole is spirit energy, emotion energy in motion. So when you cultivate this inner world and you start tuning it to the frequencies you want to also see in the outside world. So let's say you want to see the physicalized version of the energy of love or of gratitude or of abundance. I know a lot of you want that, right? Or of peace and joy. You have to be sustaining that in the inner world first, thinking thoughts that correspond with that feeling, with that energy, and that is what is going to bring about the inspiration to manifest and physicalize that in the outer world. That is what allows then, whatever you want to call it, the universe, whatever these forces, these powers are, to also start helping you and move things in a way that bring in the opportunities, the people, the path of least resistance even sometimes to the equivalent of that energy in your physical. So does that make sense, right? But the outer follows the inner. And why a lot of people fail to manifest is they're unable because they haven't trained in mentalism, they haven't trained in holding on to a feeling. And again, I'm going to give you some things that are going to help you with this. But when you hold a certain idea in your mind long enough, that comes with a corresponding feeling. Or you can do it even the reverse. If you hold on to a certain feeling, which will come with corresponding thoughts, you can do it both ways, right? I would practice both if I were you. But when you do that, it's going to start inspiring you to take certain actions that are on that level of thought and energy. When you take certain actions on that level of thought and energy, because you've cultivated that inwardly, you're going to start manifesting that physically. And that's when the mirror principle takes effect. You've cultivated it in the garden here, and then you're going to start seeing the garden being produced out there. It just takes longer, quantum to Newtonian transition point and everything else. The goal is to just do these things the best you can. Now that you've learned them, you've become aware of them. And if you fall off the horse, then just do your best to get back on the horse, but don't worry about it. Obviously, if you have a coach or a mentor or someone who has been there, done that, and knows what they're talking about, they can help you get back on the horse quicker. They can hold your hand through this process to make sure you're applying this to the best of your abilities. Now, if you would like me to do that for you, I have a 6-month transformation program that does exactly that, which you can learn more about through the first link in the description. So I'm just going to put that in there for those of you who are like, let's do it. I want to learn this, I want to master this as soon as possible. Boom, right in the description. And it will give you a video that gives you a free training and tells you more about the program that we take people through that helps them with this and so much more, essentially getting you to live the best life, be the best version of yourself. So you can check that out and learn more if that's something you want to do. But ultimately, understand that this is going to take some time. You're not going to snap your fingers having been someone who wasn't doing this and then you can just do it. In the same way, you're not going to go to the gym the first day and come out with bulging muscles or amazing cardio strength or amazing flexibility. But as you keep doing it, you get better and better. And then one day, a few months later or a year later, you're looking at yourself going like, wow, I am completely different now. And that's what it's like for this too, building the skill of mentalism, right? But here's some tools I want to give you to help you get started right now. And again, these are some tools you have to keep doing for it to work, but I'm going to give it to you. These are some of the tools I use on a daily basis and I think about, and they can be a great help to you. So the first thing to think about is the idea of the mental diet. I've given this before, but in the same way, if you were going to the gym every single day, but then you were eating like crap, you would very much limit your results. In fact, you might even counteract them, and so that's not what we want. And it's the same with this. What are you allowing into your mind? Because your mind is also influenced by your environment. And that means if you're watching things of low consciousness, if you're watching junk media, like junk food media, this is like the news, this is maybe sitcoms that calibrate low, there's movies that calibrate low. If you know the conscious scale or the consciousness scale by David Hawkins, where does what you're consuming fall on that scale? It's an important, a good gauge to look at. But ultimately, what are you consuming mentally? Like if you think of your mind like a garden, are you watering it and nurturing it often? Or are you allowing weeds to be spread amongst the garden that are taking up the sunlight of the plants you want to grow and are strangling, the plants that you want to grow? And to really think about what diet, mental diet do I have? And to slowly or quickly adjust that diet. And again, an easy way to do this is start removing first. So, for example, if you're watching the news, I would stop doing that, consuming that in any way. You're on Facebook all day, might want to stop doing that. Instagram all day, might want to start doing that. Stop doing that. If you're watching YouTube videos that are, not serving you, as in they kind of make you feel anxious, and really look at how you feel, it'll kind of give you indicators of this. That's a bad mental diet. That's like eating McDonald's or junk food in that moment for your diet. You project that out, you get more of that, right? So the first thing is removing those things from your environment that are a bad mental diet for your mind. Again, everything is mind, everything is mental, so might want to have a good diet for it. The next is then you can start to introduce things that actually are like a good diet for your mind. So like the healthy food, the organic food, the stuff that helps it operate even better. This is videos like this, if you enjoy this and this is teaching you something. This is, again, if you're in a program or working with a coach, that's going to help this so much because they're going to keep you accountable and making sure you are, like if you get a personal trainer, they're going to make sure you're eating a good diet, you're doing the right workouts, and you just follow the plan, and boom, you get the results. So that's one of the best ways to do it is get a coach, trainer, and you can look at my stuff down below. But again, you can find the good books to read and really influence yourself by videos. What are you watching? Audios. What are you listening to? Right? There are many things you can use to influence your diet, the mental diet, in positive ways that move you in the directions you want to move and help you to start thinking better, feeling better, more often. Now again, with the books and the videos and everything that you do watch and listen to, the audios as well, you want to make sure you're using ones that actually help. I'll give you some if you know The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale is a really good one if you want to change your thoughts. Some of you might not like this, but books like The Secret, The Power, which is the follow-up, are great books to read as well. And there's plenty of others out there that I can give, and I'll do it in future videos, I suppose. But make sure you're reading something like this every single day, even if it's 1 to 5 pages, even if it's for like 2 minutes, because it will influence your mental diet. Same with videos. If you come to my channel and watch a video, again, don't just watch these videos once. If you watch the video on the mirror principle, for example, and watch it once, do you really think you now know the mirror principle? No, you know a little more about it, but it's going to take multiple exposures to that video. You'll learn new things every single time that as you continue to get better at it, that you can now hear better, that you can now apply better. So by watching these things over and over and over again, listening to good audios over and over and over again, reading good things over and over and over again, that repetition, that diet, that healthy diet. You don't just eat healthy once and then just go, okay, I'm good for life, and then start eating donuts or never at all. No, you keep eating healthy, and it's the same with your mental diet. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing I want to give you is, if you have not yet determined what your dream is, you haven't seen my video on the manifestation formula that secret societies kept hidden from you, I'd also watch that as well, because I go over how to determine what it is you actually want and also how to bring that about. And so my next thing is to concentrate your mind and your mentality on that, right? So to focus on your dreams and focus on what you do want. And when you catch yourself not doing that, to readjust and think again, and to visualize again, and to feel towards again what it is you actually want, your mission. For me, throughout the day, I aim to remind myself to keep my thoughts focused on that which I want to bring about, to feel as though it is here now. And the more I do that, the more these things seem to come flying in. It's crazy. It's almost like this works, right? So ultimately, to start thinking and really meditating, as in like keeping your thoughts focused on whatever your dream is. If you don't know what your dream is at the moment, that's the next step for you. Figure out what that is. You got to go get a dream. Now, one other thing I would recommend for those of you who might have other struggles with this, for those of you who believe you may have some traumas or stuck energy that may be causing you to think in a certain direction or to feel in a certain direction, this is a very legitimate thing. And we call this shadow work when we remove these things. And so if you find you're doing some of these other things and you genuinely are, and there's still some blocks, there may genuinely be some energetic blocks within you. And so I'd go watch this video next, where I go over shadow work, which is ultimately about removing, releasing, just replacing these blocks you have within you. I go over how to do it here, why it's so crucial. And when you do this, this is what allows you then to think so much more clearly and do this so much more easily. So I'd go check it out next.